Hello and welcome to Career Talk. Today, we have a very special session for all the aspiring business analysts out there. We will be diving into some of the most challenging and commonly asked interview questions that we have gathered from our business analyst WhatsApp group. So, friends, if you're interested in joining our community, drop your email in the comment below and I will send you the link. And please don't send me the direct email, I won't be able to reply. Okay, so before we start our session, we have a request for our friends watching. If you find this video useful, please hit like and consider subscribing to our channel. We are the only channel on YouTube. Yes, friend, I can claim that we are the only channel on YouTube that provide you with this much real interview questions along with the detailed answers from the industry experts. So your support means a lot to us and it will help us to bring more valuable content for you guys. So let's get started with our session on real business analyst interview questions with Kanu Bhutani, a senior business analyst
Hi.
and the industry expert. So welcome, Kanu. We are so
Yes.
excited to have you out there. So
Thanks,
let's dive
Sunand.
into it.
I'm also excited. Yes, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. So if you allow, shall we start?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Okay, so the very first question is tell me about a project where you had to develop a business case for a new technology solution, and how do you gather and analyze the data, and what are the important factors which you will consider when developing the business case? So that's the question for the very first question.
Yeah. So yes, I was tasked with developing a business case for a new CRM system to replace an outdated system. So to develop this business case, I took these following steps. The step number one was define the problem. You define the problem that the new technology solution is intended to solve, identify the pain points of the existing system and limitations that are affecting business operations. Once you have done that, then the second step is to identify the business requirements. You identify the business requirements of the new technology solution, consider factors such as functionality, scalability, usability, and compatibility with existing systems. Step number three would be to conduct a cost benefit analysis. This is to evaluate the potential benefits of the new technology solution. Consider the costs of acquiring, implementing, maintaining the solution against the potential benefits such as increased efficiency, improved data accuracy, and better customer satisfaction. Step number four would be to develop a risk assessment. This is to identify the potential risks and challenges of implementing the new technology solution, evaluate factors such as technical feasibility, compatibility with the existing systems, and the potential disruption to business operations. Step number five would be to gather stakeholder feedback. You gather the feedback from all the stakeholders, such as business users, IT staff, and senior management. Consider their input when evaluating the potential benefits and risks of the new technology solution. Step number six would be to develop a financial forecast. Develop a financial forecast that includes project costs, benefits, and ROI. Consider factors such as the payback period, internal rate of return, and net present value, which we say NPV. Step number seven is to create a business case document. Once we have collected all these details, then we have to include a summary of the problem, the proposed solution, the benefits and costs, and a recommended course of action in this business case document. Now, for example, in one of my financial projects, where we were taking a new technology and a new database into account. There we decided that the old database will be in place and we won't change that database. And in fact, connected that new database to the old one to fetch the data from there. And this helped us by not losing any data and win the customer confidence. So considering these steps and the range of factors, you can develop a compelling business case for a new technology solution. This approach helps to ensure that the proposed solution meets the desired business requirements and align with the stakeholder feedback and deliver measurable benefits. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Kanu, for that detailed answer. Okay, so last one, sorry, the other one, the next one is regarding the scope creep. So, can you give
Yes.
me an example of a project where you had to manage the scope creep, and how do you handle the changes to the project scope, and what are the different strategies which you have used to ensure that the project stayed on track? So, yeah, that's the next one.
Sure. So in this, like I was leading a software development project, and during the development process, the client requests additional features that were not originally part of our project scope. So as a business analyst, to manage the scope creep, I took following these steps. Step number one was to identify the change. When the client requests a change to the project scope, identify the change and evaluate its impact on the project timeline, budget, and resources. The second step is assess the impact. Assess the impact of the change on the project scope, schedule, budget, and resources. Consider how the change will affect other project deliverables and dependencies. Step number three is evaluate alternatives. These alternative solutions that may satisfy the client's request without expanding the project scope. For example, you may be able to modify existing features to meet the client requirements instead of adding new features. Step number four would be to communicate the impact. You can communicate the impact of the change to the project team, stakeholders, and the client. Clearly explain them how the change will affect the project timeline, budget, resources, and get agreement on how to proceed. Step number five would be to update the project plan. Update the project plan to reflect the agreed upon changes to the project scope. Adjust the project timeline, the budget, resources as necessary, and update the project plan with the new requirements. Step number six would be to monitor the project. So now you have to monitor closely to ensure that the project stays on track, continuously communicate with the client and stakeholders to ensure that everyone is aware of any changes to the project scope and the impact on the project timeline, budget, and resources. So for example, there was one project that had ample amount of data in the database that had to be fetched in by our software program and then do the calculations and display the results. The calculations and the changes in that was continuously coming up to us from our clients, and every time different results had to be generated. This created a lot of confusion and thereby the scope creep. And at certain point, the project kept on going and there was no specific data to close. Hence, the management had to take a stand and close the scope with the client. And then we proceeded with the work and it got completed. So using these effective communication strategies, we could manage the scope creep in the project effectively. And this approach helps to ensure that the project remains aligned with the original scope, schedule, budget, and resources while also addressing the client requirements. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kanu. So, friends, you might have observed the way Kanu is giving his answers. The answers are well structured, step by step, and there is no room for any interviewer to ask you any follow up question, maybe one or two. But I think that is the best thing. You give the step by step approach so that the interviewer will also understand that you are very pragmatic, structured business analyst. So that's very important. So I like that, Kanu, with your answers. Okay,
Thank you.
so let's go to the next question. And the next question is, we have to work with lot of vendors and different contractors in a project. So can you describe a project where you had to work with lot of external vendors and contractors, and how do you manage the relationship with different vendors, and what are the different steps which you have taken to ensure that they had delivered the project on time and within the budget?
Yes, like I was managing a software development project, and you need to work with external vendors or contractors to complete the project. So, to manage this relationship with the vendors and ensure that they deliver the project on time and within budget, I took these steps. Step number one was to select the right vendor. Before engaging with any external vendor, carefully evaluate potential vendors to ensure they have the necessary expertise, experience, and resources to complete the project on time and within budget. Evaluate multiple vendors and consider factors such as their reputation, past work, references, and pricing. Step number two would be to establish clear expectations. Clearly define the project requirements and deliverables, project timelines, budgets, and quality standards with them. Establish a SLA, service level agreement, that outlines the vendor's responsibilities and expectations, as well as the consequences of failing to meet them. Point number three is communication. Establish a clear and open communication channels with the vendor. Schedule regular check-ins to review the progress, address concerns, and manage expectations. Establish a primary point of contact for both teams. Point number four would be to monitoring the progress. Regularly monitor the vendor's progress to ensure that they are meeting their deliverables on time and within budget. Identify any potential issues as soon as possible and work with the vendor to address them. Establish project milestones with specific delivery dates to track progress. Step number five would be having regular reports. Request regular status reports from the vendor that include information such as progress against milestones, budget updates, and any risks or issues. Review these reports to ensure that the project is on track. Step number six would be quality control. Establish the quality control procedures to ensure that the vendor's work meets the expected quality standards. Conduct regular code reviews, testing, and performance evaluations. Then the next step would be to contract management. Regularly review the vendor's contract to ensure that all terms and conditions are being met. Identify any necessary changes or adjustments and work with the vendor to update the contract. For example, there was one project, healthcare project, where we had a lot of data to manage. And for that, we had to have many servers to store that data. And to support that servers, we had vendors who used to come and do the regular checks for those servers. But one of the vendors always had some or the other reason not to come. And this happened for 3 weeks continuously. And my time was getting lost in maintaining our servers. So finally, we had to take a strict calls with them and make them to attend and maintain those servers. So you can effectively manage the relationship with external vendors or contractors and ensure that they deliver the project on time and within budget. Clear communication, monitoring progress, and regular reports are the key things in this. And then we can ensure that the vendor's work meets the expected standards. Thank you.
Thanks, Kanu, for that. Okay. So the next one is again a situational one. So you have to tell us about a situation where you had to make a trade-off between a technical feasibility and the business requirements. So how do you balance these two factors, and what was the outcome of your decisions?
Yes, as a business analyst, and there was a software developer working on a project to build a e-commerce platform for a client. The client wanted to add a new feature that allows users to personalize their shopping experience based on their browsing history and purchase behavior. However, implementing this feature requires integrating a complex machine learning algorithm, which may impact the performance of the platform and require significant resources. So, to balance technical feasibility and business requirements in this scenario, step one would be to evaluate technical feasibility. Access the technical feasibility of integrating the machine learning algorithm. Consider factors such as the availability of data, the accuracy and the reliability of the algorithm, the required infrastructure, and the impact on performance and resource usage. Step number two would be to analyze business requirements. Understand the business requirements of the feature, evaluate the expected benefits of the feature, such as increased user engagement, revenue, and customer satisfaction. Step number three is assess the trade off. Based on your technical feasibility assessment and analysis of business requirements, evaluate the trade offs between the two factors. Consider the risks and benefits of implementing the feature and the potential impact on the project timeline and budget. Step number four would be to discuss with stakeholders, discuss the trade off with the client and other stakeholders, clearly communicate the technical challenges and the potential impact on the project timeline and budget, work with them to understand the business requirements and evaluate alternate solutions that may achieve similar benefits and less technical complexity. Then step number four is make a decision. Based on your technical feasibility assessment, business requirements analysis, stakeholder decisions, and discussions, you make a decision on whether to proceed with the feature or recommend an alternate solution. Document the decision making process and communicate the decision to all the stakeholders. For example, there was one project that did lot of calculations in every page, and every input and the final output came after crossing about 20 pages of calculations. These calculations were very cumbersome, and at the end of the 20 pages, the result never matched. This created a lot of issues, and so we suggested to enter the details of each page in a database table and fetch the data from that table as we go to the next page, and then save that data in the table. That way, we got almost correct data output that the customer needed. So you can balance technical feasibility and business requirements in a project if you have careful evaluation of technical feasibility and business requirements with open communication with stakeholders and careful analysis of trade-offs, which can help make informed decisions. Thank you.
Great, Kanu. Thank you for that. Okay, so next question is again, I think most asked in the business analyst interview, and that is about the diagrams. So can you tell us few diagrams which you use as a business analyst, and can you just describe how they impact your day-to-day work?
Yes. So I'll provide you the two common diagrams that are used by business analysts and how they impact our work. The very first diagram is use case diagram. A use case diagram is a graphical representation of the interactions between the systems and its users and or other systems. So now these use case diagrams are used to illustrate in the different ways that users interact with the system and different features that the system provides to the users. Business analysts use these diagrams to understand how a system will be used by an intended users and to identify the various use cases that need to be supported by the system. These use case diagrams can also help business analysts to identify the actors such as users, systems, or other entities that will interact with the system and the different tasks that those actors will perform. The second most important diagram is entity relationship diagrams that we call ERDs. The ERD is a graphical representation of entities and their relationship with each other. These diagrams are used to module the data requirements of the system and to identify the different types of data that need to be stored and the relationships between those types of data. Business analysts uses these diagrams to understand the data requirements of a system and to identify the different entities that need to be stored in the system. These diagrams can also help a business analyst to identify the relationships between those entities and to ensure that the system is designed in a way that to optimize for data storage and retrieval. Overall, both of these diagrams are essential tools for business analysts as they help to provide a visual representation of complex systems and their requirements. And these diagrams can also be used to facilitate communication between stakeholders as they provide a common language and framework for discussing system requirements and design. Thank you.
Great, Kanu. Thank you for that. Okay, so the next one is, can you walk us through a real life example of a time when you had to make a tough decision without complete information?
Yes, as a business analyst for a software development company, my team was working on a new feature that will require a significant investment of time and resources. There were two options: either proceed with the development of a feature or put the project on hold until more information is available. So I received feedback from some of the users who are requesting the new feature, but they don't have enough data to fully understand the potential impact on the company's revenue and user retention. However, these also know that if you delay development, it could put your company behind its competitors. So in this situation, you would need to weigh the risks and potential benefits of each option and make the best decision with the information available. To do this, you could gather more information by conducting user research, analysis of market trends, and consulting the stakeholders. Based on the information you have gathered, you might decide to proceed with the development of the feature, knowing that there are risks involved. Alternatively, you might decide to delay development until more information is available, potentially missing out on a competitive advantage. Ultimately, making tough decisions without complete information is a common challenge in many roles, and it requires careful consideration of available information and a willingness to take calculated risks. It's essential to gather as much information as possible, consult with experts, and be prepared to adjust your decision if new information becomes available. So, this is the way we can proceed with this. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Kanu. Okay, so the next question is again, I have seen many times in lot of interviews, and that is about the root cause analysis. So can you explain how you conduct a root cause RCA, basically root cause analysis for any business problem?
Certainly. Conducting a root cause analysis is a systematic approach to understanding the underlying causes of a business problem or issue. So, I take a step by step process to conduct a root cause analysis. Very first step is define the problem. Start by clearly defining the problem you want to investigate. Be specific and try to identify the symptoms or effects of the problem, as well as the known causes or contributing factors. Step two is gather data. Collect as much as information possible about the problem. This can include customer feedback, employee input, data from business systems such as sales reports or customer service logs. Step three is identify problem causes. Brainstorm a list of possible causes or contributing factors. Use the five whys technique to ask why multiple times to uncover the root cause of the problem. Step four is to analyze causes. Analyze each possible cause or contributing factor to determine if it could be a root cause. Evaluate the evidence for each potential cause and consider its impact on the problem. Step number five is identify the root causes. Based on the analysis, identify the most likely root cause or causes of the problem. Look for commonalities among the possible causes and evidence that supports a specific cause. Then develop solutions. Once you have identified the root causes, develop a plan to address them, brainstorm potential solutions, and evaluate their feasibility, cost, and effectiveness. Then, step five is to implement solutions. Select the most appropriate solution and implement it. Track progress to ensure that the solution is addressing the root causes and resolving the problem. So, by conducting a root cause analysis, you can gain a deeper understanding of the factors contributing to a business problem and develop effective solutions that addresses the underlying causes. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kanu. I think we are good for today. We have
Okay.
covered, I think, almost 7 to 8 very important business analyst interview questions which were shared in our group. So
Yes.
thank you for joining us today. And friends, if you are watching this session till here, so we hope you found this session helpful. So don't forget to leave a comment, like this video, show your support, and share your business analyst interview questions. And if you are new here, please subscribe and become a part of our Career Stock family. So see you in next session, and thank you, Kanu.
Thank you very much, Sunand. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.